For the swing motion, I use the analogy of an airplane taking off. Your swing should go forward and up towards the net. And only then should you begin to close your forearm. Don't start closing your arm immediately. Today, we're covering the forehand loop against backspin. A common issue is being able to loop in practice but failing to do so in a match. The first problem is that when moving from backhand to forehand, your center of gravity shifts horizontally instead of dropping. You must develop the habit of keeping your racket below table level. For my height, a straight arm is already level with the table. To exaggerate for practice, try to keep your entire forearm parallel to the table surface. Essentially, hide your entire forearm below the table. If I follow this principle, I don't even need to swing forward aggressively. I just need to synchronize with the ball. See how I'm not using much power? When I decide to use power, I can loop drive it easily. By keeping your hand, racket, and wrist at the same height as the table, the ball's downward force will feel immense, indicating heavy spin. What are the characteristics of a backspin ball? Let's observe the ball from the machine. After it bounces on the table, its forward speed is very slow. The second characteristic is that its downward drop after the bounce is also slow. A backspin ball has two key traits. First, its speed is slow. The more spin, the slower it is after the bounce. Second, a ball with heavy spin doesn't travel far forward. Notice how a heavy backspin ball barely moves forward after landing and is very slow. Therefore, when you feel rushed looping a backspin ball, you are actually hitting the ball too early. Slow down your rhythm against backspin. Stay calm, slow down, and complete your full stroke. This alone will improve your success rate by 50%. Otherwise, you'll never land the ball in a real match. The second key point for amateurs is a common mistake that causes failed loops. Watch and identify the flaw. During a match, the right, hitting, shoulder is higher than the left. You must fix this by dropping your shoulder. Once you drop your shoulder, you can lift the ball even with just your arm. If you rotate your shoulders back in parallel, you will be hitting the ball from directly behind. Only by dropping your shoulder can you engage your entire shoulder and back to generate power and create the necessary arc to lift the backspin. No professional loops a backspin ball without dropping their shoulder. You can see I've even developed slightly uneven shoulders from this habit. Always think about dropping your center of gravity and your shoulder first. This allows the power from your upper right side to be transferred effectively. Hide your forearm below the table. As you rotate, your left shoulder should face the ball while your right shoulder is back. Your right shoulder should be aimed towards the down-the-line position. Your left shoulder is aimed cross-court. Third, let's discuss timing. In practice, you should loop the ball just after the peak of its bounce. This will enable you to contact the ball at the peak in a match. If you practice looping at the peak, you will end up hitting it on the rise in a match, which is incorrect for this shot. So, always practice looping the ball in its early descending phase. The issue is, when the ball comes to your forehand, you need to ensure you step back slightly. If you stand too close, the ball will jam you by the time it starts to drop, restricting your swing. So, first, when you move, always maintain an arm's length distance from the table. Second, do not start your swing when the ball is at the peak of its bounce. As the ball approaches, don't look forward. Track the ball. Watch for the peak of the bounce, and as soon as it starts to drop, execute your swing. Swing as it descends. Solve your timing first, then worry about the arc. For correct timing, don't just stare ahead. You can't accurately judge the contact point with your peripheral vision. Track the ball's trajectory and focus on the contact point to your side. When the ball reaches its peak and begins to drop, that's your cue to start the loop. Even if you contact it late in its descent, it's fine for now. The priority is to find this rhythm. First, gain the ability to control your rhythm, rather than panicking and rushing through the motion. Fourth, here is a training method. Raise the net slightly higher than standard. There's no exact height, just a bit higher. Then, when you practice your high spin loop, aim to clear this higher net. By creating a safe margin of height over the net, you ensure your arc is full and reliable, which gives you a buffer during matches. Fifth, I want to discuss the concept of forward drive, which is different from pure friction. What is drive? Let me demonstrate. Is this it? If that is, then what is this? The first one is driving forward and hitting flat. You drive forward and hit flat. The second one is driving forward with friction. You should use the second action for your loops. The first problem for many amateurs is that they hit the ball flat. The second is being too soft on contact. Many players' forward motion turns into a flat hit. Are you hitting too flat? You must lift upwards to generate friction. How do you transition from a flat hitting feel to a forward brushing one? First, focus on your forearm. If your forearm swings straight forward like this, it's a flat hit. If it swings up and around like this, you're creating friction. This is flat hitting. This is forward brushing. Why? It's about wrapping the ball. If I'm the ball and someone pushes me straight from behind, I will travel in a straight line. If they push me with a brushing motion, my body will travel in an arc. Against topspin, hitting with forward drive is fine. But to truly counteract an opponent's backspin, you must wrap around the ball. By wrapping the ball, you are creating a parabolic trajectory for it. If I just hit the ball forward, it will only create an arc if I add a lift at the very end of the stroke. So, the biggest change from hitting flat to brushing forward is to stop leading with your forearm and elbow. They should be supportive, not primary movers. After your backswing, the racket head must initiate the forward movement, pulling your arm forward, instead of your forearm and elbow pushing the racket forward. The motions look similar, but at the instant of contact, the difference is huge. The swing should start from the racket head, the furthest point from your body, swinging from outside in, which then pulls the arm forward and up. Don't let the arm move forward and up while the racket head passively follows. The incorrect way is for the arm angle to change the racket face. The correct way is for the racket head to actively lead the closing of the forearm angle. This will help you find the feeling of creating an arc, wrapping the ball, and gripping it. That is forward brushing. The best part about forward brushing is that leading with the racket head allows it to naturally drop. If you just push your forearm forward, the racket head can't drop. When you push, the racket head can't go down, it stays facing sideways at a fixed angle. If I want to execute a powerful loop drive by wrapping the ball, I need this kind of dynamic motion. We don't want to just lift the ball high. Lifting it makes you vulnerable to a counterattack, and your footwork and recovery will be slow. Using inverted rubber as an example, the loop can solve 90% of long ball situations, against any spin. The remaining 10% is solved by adjusting the amount of friction. So you must master this. The second key to wrapping the ball involves your upper arm and elbow. Don't tuck them in close to your body or flare them out to the side. If you do, before the arc is even fully formed, your arm will already be moving sideways, effectively pressing the ball down. Let me demonstrate 4 typical errors when looping backspin. Here is male version 1. Here is male version 2. Here is male version 3. Now, here is female version 1. And here is female version 2. The first common error for men is swinging too much sideways. The arc is cut short because the arm moves laterally too early. The second is taking a huge swing and then pausing at the end. The third is not taking a proper backswing and just lifting the arm straight up. For women, a common error is using an exaggerated forehand drive motion. The second is failing to snap the forearm. Most amateurs share these issues, plus other fundamentals like not lowering the body, improper body rotation, poor power generation, not using the hips, and standing too upright. A standard, correct technique gives you a much higher margin for error. Otherwise, in a match, you can only handle familiar shots and will struggle with anything new. The main conflict is that your body is too close and the ball's path is jammed into your body, which makes it impossible to create an arc. You can only push the ball forward. This forces your weight to finish entirely on your left leg. Let me demonstrate. My backswing starts here, point A. My contact point is here, point B, and my follow-through finishes here, point C. That's the complete stroke. Amateur players may not believe they can loop a ball that is so far from their body. This is either a lack of confidence or a lack of awareness. With the ball here, as I said, you have point A, backswing, point B, contact, and point C, finish. You must allow enough space for point B. If you start too close to the ball, you eliminate the space between A and B. How can you create an arc? You'll miss the ball or hit it with your arm, which is why you don't trust this technique. So your initial stance is the problem. You haven't created the necessary space to execute a full, wrapping motion with an external arc. This inevitably leads to pushing or swinging sideways. Because your swing is too compact, a forward motion is replaced by a lateral one. When you can't lift the ball, what happens? You compensate by swinging sideways and up, or just straight up. When looping, keep your backswing, point A, close to your body to find your timing. Then execute the outer arc to your contact point, point B, and finish at point C. I guarantee you'll be able to loop drive powerfully. But if you don't fix your positioning, learning advanced techniques like forearm snap, forward contact, and brushing is useless. Therefore, you must master this use of space to properly execute the forward brushing motion. Sixth, for all loops, you must overcome a mental barrier. For the swing motion, I use the analogy of an airplane taking off. When a plane just leaves the ground, it flies forward and up, right? Think of the net as a reference point. Your swing should go forward and up towards the net. And only then should you begin to close your forearm. Don't start closing your arm immediately. The ball is coming from in front of you. So, your swing must go forward to meet it. Once your arm is extended forward, but not fully locked, then you engage the forearm snap to finish the stroke. To master forward brushing, you must find this airplane takeoff feeling. See? That's how you drive into the ball. Your racket meets the ball, drives forward, and then you snap the forearm. That completes the loop. Now, add a lower center of gravity and body rotation, and you can execute a powerful loop drive.